Ayodhya's golden age had reached its final hour. Lord Rama had to shed his mortal form, and Yamraj, the god of death, arrived at the city gates to deliver the message of destiny. But Yamraj found himself completely blocked from entering the palace. There were no armies standing in his way, no magical wards, and no weapons drawn. There was only Hanuman. Hanuman had vowed that no harm would ever reach his lord. In that moment, his devotion solidified into an impenetrable physical barrier. He refused to let death cross the threshold, and as a result, the forward march of time itself ground to a sudden halt. The universe had reached a complete stalemate. A fundamental law of reality, the inevitability of death, stood frozen at the doorstep, entirely unable to bypass the barrier of a devotee's singular focus. Inside, Lord Rama sat on his throne, perfectly aware of the cosmic gridlock outside. He faced an impossible dilemma. He could not bring himself to fight his greatest protector, and because Hanuman did not recognize any authority over his love, Rama could not command him to let death inside. So Rama orchestrated a quiet diversion. While speaking to his court, he allowed his heavy royal ring to slip from his finger. It hit the marble floor, rolled toward a microscopic crack in the stone, and vanished into the darkness. Rama pointed to the crack and asked for the ring back. For Hanuman, a request from his lord was absolute law. He instantly shrank his body down to the size of a bee and dove headfirst into the tiny geological chasm. Rama dropping that ring was a deliberate, calculated act of cosmic misdirection. By sending his protector on a quest, he gave death the space to finally enter the room. Hanuman plunged deep below the palace foundations. He fell past the earth's crust, slipping through solid rock, glowing tectonic plates, and the scent of sulfur, descending entirely out of the mortal realm. He landed in Nagalok, the ancient underworld of serpents. Here, the cavern walls glowed with a green and gold light, and the passage of time felt physically thick, stretching into heavy, slow breaths around Vasuki, the massive king of serpents. Hanuman stood firm before the giant creature, his sense of duty fueling his resolve. He declared himself the servant of Lord Rama and demanded the immediate return of the single, unique royal ring that had just fallen into this realm. Vasuki didn't flinch. He simply looked down at the tiny monkey with ancient, tired eyes. The Serpent King offered no surprise and asked no questions, wrapping Hanuman's frantic urgency in a heavy, undisturbed silence. The contrast was unsettling, a hint of a perspective that stretched far beyond a single missing ring. Without saying a word, Vasuki lowered his head and pointed toward the center of the cavern. There stood a massive, shimmering mountain. As Hanuman stepped closer, he realized it was made entirely of rings, millions of them, and every single one bore the exact royal crest of Lord Rama. This diagram illustrates the Kala Chakra. Time doesn't travel on a straight line. Instead, it bends, connects, and repeats, forming a perfect, infinitely rotating loop. Every ring in that mountain represents a complete turn of that wheel, an entire universe already born, lived, died, and restarted. In every single one of those past cycles, a Rama is born, an Ayodhya is built, and a Hanuman guards the door. Every cycle, a ring is dropped, and a Hanuman comes down to this exact cavern searching for it. Hanuman stared at the golden slopes, realizing the staggering truth. His deeply personal crisis, the heart-wrenching loss of his lord, was actually just a single note in an infinitely repeating cosmic song. As Hanuman looks at the millions of identical rings, the weight of the mountain begins to settle. He isn't just looking at gold. He's looking at an endless line of past selves who stood in this exact spot, with this exact mission, and this exact broken heart. The mountain of rings revealed Rama's true, silent message. Holding on to Rama's physical form was like trying to stop a rushing river with your bare hands. the river has to flow, and the wheel has to turn. Slowly, all the tension left Hanuman's body. He opened his hand, letting go of the need to control the outcome, and allowed the single golden ring to slip through his fingers and slowly fall back into the deep shadows. He finally understood that ultimate devotion is not found in freezing time or standing guard at the door forever. It requires the painful, humbling willingness to let the things we love pass on. Leaving the ring behind, Hanuman turned away from the mountain and scaled the deep geological layers back to the surface, slowly expanding to his normal size as he emerged through the crack in the marble floor. He looked up at the royal throne. It was completely empty. Lord Rama had successfully surrendered his mortal body and merged back into the eternal ocean of the cosmos. You might expect a warrior of Hanuman's power to tear the palace apart in grief. Instead, he simply stood before the empty seat, washed in a profound, enlightened peace. He knew now that they were all part of a cycle vastly older and larger than any individual ego. The throne sits empty, but the story is never truly over, because true love means gracefully surrendering to the infinite flow of reality.